This week's feature car is a member of the Chrysler Corporation's very popular A-body class. It's a 1968 Plymouth Valiant belonging to Chris Williams from Goodyear, Arizona. Chris is a hardcore mopar man and knows how to get the most power from every cubic inch of a vintage V8 from America's third largest auto manufacturer. Settle back, and after watching this video, I wouldn't be surprised if people started seeking out a Valiant for their next project. Enjoy, like, and share this video. This is one cool car that you won't see at every show, and it also won't break the bank. It's a hot rod in the truest sense of the word. I'll let Chris tell you all about his muscular Valiant.
I've had the car since 2015. So I called my father-in-law up because he's been a mopar man ever since he was 17 years old. And then I said, by the way, what are you going to do with that Valiant that I've been trying to get my hands on for years? He goes, oh, I forgot to tell you. I got it on Craigslist right now for sale. And I said, do me a favor. Put that thing on the trailer and bring it to me. And as soon as you get here, I'll cut you a check or whatever, cash, or however you want it. So that following weekend, he shows up with the car on the car trailer and I was like, oh my God, really? So we unloaded, and as soon as I got in the driveway, I took pictures of it. I was looking for a mopar, but I wanted like a Barracuda, a Duster, a Dart. The Valiant, like I said, every time I seen it, I liked it. And he had, at the time, he had like 5 different mopars, and it's like, every time I seen that car, I loved it. It's just like, I seen it in the garage. I'm like, do you ever drive it? He goes, I don't drive it as much as I do my Savoy, but yeah, I take it out every once in a while, just to knock the cobwebs off of it. So, the condition is basically like it is now, except it had header gasket leaks and a few system problem and just some fine-tuned bugs. I mean, he's in his 80s now. It's kind of hard for him to work on the vehicles, and everything was kind of loose. He doesn't have a lot of strength, so I had to go through and tidy some stuff up, some wiring, put new header gaskets on it. I pulled the carburetor off, went to the carburetor, stuff like that. Since I've had it, I put tires, new suspension, pulled the motor out, and I built a 400 big block, stroke to 513 cubic inches. The stroke is a 4 1/4. It's a Molnar crank. It's got Eagle long rods, the 670 rods. It's got JE pistons, Snyder camshaft hydraulic roller. 550, 535 is the lift. Duration is 282 and 286. It's got Edelbrock performance power package heads on it, Edelbrock intake, and a 950 Brawler carburetor. The transmission is a 727 torque flight with a shift kit. It's got a 3000 stall converter in it. And then the rear end used to be a 323 Sure Grip. And the reason why they call it a Sure Grip is because it's got rebuildable clutches that you can, say you take it out on the track and you eat the clutches up. You can take it apart and put clutches and steels in it just like you can a transmission, and put it back together and put it back in the car, and it will work again. It took me roughly about 2.5 years to build that motor. What took so long was the machine work, because I bought steel billet main caps, and they had to cut the main caps and then line bore it, so the tolerance on the cam bearing, or the crank and the rod bearings would have the right tolerances. Because it's pretty much done. There's a couple of things that I might want to do to it in the future. I want to take that, it's got a B body rear end in it. I want to take that out and put an original A body back into it so I can get bigger tires underneath it to try to get some traction. But that's a little bit further down the line, because I'm going to have to do some modifications for the spring perches and stuff like that. I'm going to have to inboard the springs so I can get a bigger tire and get some traction, hopefully, with the track. My best time with the big block 513 so far is 13.2 at 108, because I keep breaking loose all the way down the track. It's crazy. I just love mopars. It doesn't matter what kind. There's something about them I love.
The Chrysler series of A-body cars are some of the longest-running, highest production number offerings in the long history of this legendary automaker. Nameplates seen from the first cars in 1960 until the demise of this chassis series in 1976 brought us familiar models such as the Dart, the Demon, the Duster, the Lancer, the Rebel, the Scamp, and of course the Valiant. They were produced by the millions, serving their owners with untold miles and memories. Consequently, these cars are still commonly found for sale, so finding a suitable project shouldn't be that tough. Of course, the more popular models from the muscle car era, like the Dart GTS, the Swinger, the Demon, and the Duster, are getting more valuable each year, while many of the more mundane six-cylinder cars, like the Valiant, have found favor among hot rodders like Chris. The dictionary defines the word valiant as boldly courageous, brave, marked by or showing bravery or valor, heroic, worthy, excellent. The marketing department was on top of their game with this designation. These are all the finest qualities to have, but to find them in a car is even better. In my opinion, this is one of the all-time classic names for an automobile that was ever conceived. It started in 1959 when all of the nation's car companies had noticed that for several years the success of the compact American Ramblers. By 1959, many new models were now all set to debut in this emerging market. By the following year, the floodgates were opened and every new car showroom in America now had a compact entry to present to potential buyers. Ford offered their customers the Falcon and the Comet. GM brought the Chevrolet Corvair, the Olds F85 and the Pontiac Tempest, and even Studebaker had the Lark. Of course, all of these cars were initially offered as basic transportation with just a few body styles, options, and drivetrains. Most started out as unibody designs with basic straight six smaller displacement engines, 3-speed manual transmissions, and light-duty suspensions and brakes. After the recession that hit the U.S. in 1958, many Americans wanted cars that maximized fuel economy and had very few frills. Obviously, the much heavier and larger sedans that were equipped with lots of creature comforts and large engines would only get bigger as the 60s progressed. This dichotomy clearly showed that car buyers had varied tastes, so the automakers needed to offer more models if they wanted to keep selling cars. Interestingly, as the 60s progressed, the line between compact and intermediate cars was becoming less defined, and even more so when Ford unveiled their new pony car in mid-1964. Underneath that hot new body style lay a compact Falcon chassis. Now the lines had become even more blurred. Shortly after the Mustang took the market by storm, Chrysler responded with the A-body based Barracuda. At Mopar, what can be considered purely compact designs generally didn't morph into other models or becoming even larger cars, with the exception of the A-body Barracuda transitioning to a bigger E-body in 1970. 1967 marked the first year of the third generation Valiant. The first generation spanned 3 years after its initial introduction, while the second gen cars were produced from 1963 until the end of 1966. The Valiant was completely redesigned and was now only available as a 2- or 4-door sedan. Station wagons, hardtops, and convertibles were all dropped because they were now assigned to various other A-body model lines. Buyers who wanted a hardtop coupe or convertible would now only look at a Barracuda, which was still based on the Valiant, but with a much sportier style. The Barracuda was now competing in the hotly contested pony car wars, along with the Chevrolet Camaro, the Pontiac Firebird, and the Mercury Cougar, all coming on board that year. For the 1968 model year, which is also the year of our feature car this week, the previously seen horizontal division bar was removed from the grille. A fine crosshatch insert was framed by a segmented chrome surround. A Plymouth nameplate was placed on the left insert of the grille. Model nameplates were moved from the rear fender to the front fender. Vertical tail lights were segmented and had the appearance as though they were fanning out. There were two distinct models, the basic V100 and the next tier model called the Signet. The 318 cubic inch V8, now rated at 230 horsepower, was also a Valiant option for the very first time. All North American Chrysler products got front and rear side marker lights, amber in front, red in the rear. These were round in shape, surrounded by an attractive chrome bezel. All Chrysler-built cars, including Valiants, built after January 1st, 1968, also got new front shoulder belts as standard equipment. These cars were now only available as sedans, with either 2 or 4 doors. As you can see by the production numbers of the entire Valiant line of 4 separate models, production was just a bit more than 110,000 cars. The waning popularity of the Valiant was readily apparent. The biggest factor of sliding production numbers for various Chrysler cars in 1968 was due to 2 new budget muscle cars they introduced that same year, the Dodge Super Bee and the Plymouth Roadrunner. Both were selling extremely well and were taking sales from other cars not only under the Pentastar banner, but from their competitors as well. Although the amount of options available on the Valiant was not quite as extensive as other models of the time, there were 21 different exterior colors available, and various two-tone combinations could also be ordered if so desired. Because my viewers are also interested in other years of our featured models, here's a brief chart of available body types from year to year. Keep in mind that wheelbases on the different years of models vary from 106 inches all the way up to 111 inches, even though they are all still A-body cars. Some models are also a sub-series of the Valiant line. The Valiant name was most famously seen in the Steven Spielberg-directed TV movie called Duel, starring Dennis Weaver as a highway traveler being tormented by a semi-truck driver whose face we never see. The truck looks very menacing and is really one of the main characters. The Valiant makes it through to the end and is a testament as to how rugged these compact cars were. If you haven't seen it, I highly recommend it. It was Spielberg's very first film. The automotive landscape had changed drastically since the first Valiant graced Plymouth dealer showrooms in 1960, up until its last hurrah in 1976. While the cars evolved nicely to meet government and customer expectations, by the end, the all-new Volare replaced the Valiant for a new generation of car buyers. Within the next 25 years, the Plymouth division of Chrysler would be shuttered, and the company experienced many different crises related to finances, new acquisitions, and mergers. Chris Williams, 68, keeps the heritage of this legendary company alive every time he twists the key and starts his 513 cubic inch beast up. Thanks, Chris, for driving, showing, and enjoying your hot rod Mopar often, and preserving the past and educating younger enthusiasts that there really is no substitute for a lightweight body and massive cubic inches under the hood.
I miss my buddy, Jax.
Many thanks to Chris for taking the time to show off his badass 68 Plymouth Valiant to all of my new friends on YouTube. If you like this video, be sure to give it the thumbs up and hit that subscription button so you never miss my weekly videos. I also welcome your comments. If you have a vehicle with a fascinating story that you'd like me to showcase, you can email me at ifthiscarcouldtalk@gmail.com. Maybe you'll see it here and share your story with the world. Until next time.